I see that yellow means there's motion, so that's still a lot of recording for motion. Let's see, and I mean that is it is what it is. That is it me or is it a camera shake? You notice that movement that it kind of moves pixels, right? So yeah, exactly. So regardless, even if it's on motion, you're still gonna see recording almost.
Hi, everyone. My name is Randy, and I'm a regional manager for Bolide Technology Group. And here I have Mike Lugo. He's one of my leading techs. Say hi, Mike.
Morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
I hope everyone's doing well here. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome everyone to a deep dive into Bolide AI Advanced Functions webinar. Thank you for taking the time for learning with us today. Just giving you a heads up, this might be a multi-part system, a multi-part series, as we'll be covering the more effective analytics. But when you dive deep into it, you're going to find that you have multiple uses for it. So, and especially for features such as like facial recognition, there are many different types of features that you applications that you can use along with it. But so today we're covering the majority of it, how to effectively monitor and use this. So with that being said, let me introduce Bolide. We're a CCTV manufacturer. We've been in the industry for the past 30 plus years. We have offices across the world, going from Latin America, Europe, and the Middle East. So today we'll be so what we'll be going over is some AI functions and some best practices when you're implementing them, with some suggestions on different cameras to use for different applications. So what we'll be covering is going to be facial recognition, license plate recognition, Q-link detection, and another way to actually use Q-link detection for anti-loitering. So you're getting the best of both worlds on that. Crowd density, perimeter intrusion, stationary object detection, and how to integrate it effectively, efficiently, and get rid of false alarms and alerts with using EMAPs. With that being said, let's dive right into it. So the first one we're going to cover is going to be face detection and recognition. Now, this is an analytic that will scan and use unique features on your individual faces to separate each other. So what you could do is make a complete database from it and add in a block list, use it for various applications. For example, for me personally, I'm using them in a lot of senior living facilities for the residents to make sure that, one, we know where they are, they know what kind of medication they need to use, stuff like that. Daycares, schools, and a lot of different office buildings here. Prisons as well. But here, Mike, let me go ahead and show them how we get this set up.
Great. So let me jump right into it. Give me a second. Let me switch my thing over here. So I'm going to log right into my recorder, right? And I'm going to show you how to set this up. So I'm going to go to my AI setup, and I'm going to go to my face detection, and I have this set up on channel 13. I'm going to go to my channel 13 here. I'm going to go over each of these settings. So the first thing we want to do is make sure it's enabled, right? Dynamic marking. That means that it's actually going to show the face. We're going to get a square around the face showing that it's being detected. Another new feature that we implemented is face attributes. So this is going to add things like glasses, facial hair, male, female, just attributes to help more determine or differentiate the faces. Below that, snap mode. So this is how it's going to actually take the picture from the person coming through. You can leave most of this stuff default, real time, optional mode, and interval mode. You want to keep it, like I said, default. Very few instances where we have to make these adjustments to snapshot mode. Apply mode. So this is how it's going to actually take the picture, right? We have a couple different options. Frontal view. Do we only want to take front faces? Multi-angle, this will actually allow the camera to get side views of the person. Then you can customize that, but most likely we would like to do either front or multi-angle, right? Multi-angle is going to make it a little, snap a little more faces than we are usually normal getting. And then we had a lot of questions on minimal pixels and maximum pixels. So this is the minimum pixel density that the camera is going to detect. By default, it's 64. We can go all the way down to 32, which is a very small area. And maximum, like it's 640, and we can go all the way up to 1080, which is maybe half the screen. So we can leave these default. We don't really have to adjust these in certain scenarios. We might have to, maybe if the camera is further away from the actual image, we might need to increase or decrease the maximum pixel size, right? Next, we're going to go into detection mode. So static mode or motion mode, we want to put this on motion because we want to capture faces as they move through, not just as they're static or staying in front of the camera, right? Below that, we have the rule, right? This is how it's detecting. So we want to keep it the whole picture, right? We can also do a single line, you know, if they cross the line, either A to B or B to A, you know, if you only want to catch them coming in or out of a box, we're able to do that. By default, we like to capture the whole picture, right? And that's pretty much it. That's how it's set up. It's pretty easy to set up, extremely user-friendly. So now that we set this up, now what do we do, right? I'm gonna have somebody walk through and we're gonna actually show this face being detected and what we do once we get the detection. So I'm gonna have someone walk by. There's Scott walking by, and there it is. We see the square, detects the face. Awesome. Now that I got a face, what do I do with it, right? And let me explain a little bit between detection and recognition, right? Because detection means it sees a face. We take it a step further. We actually see the face and are able to recognize it. So how do I get my recognition going, right? So really easy. I can see on my screen here, I got the face. I can right click and I'm able to add, right? Right away, I get what do I want to add to? What list would I like? I have an allow list and a block list. I'm going to add to the allow list. Once I do that, I can name the individual, right? And I can put more attributes that I want just to better differentiate the person. Once that's done, now I have the person in the database. So now what, right? Got the person in the database. How do I make this database work for me? So I'm going to go back into my settings here. And I'm going to come down to recognition. So I'm going to go to my face database management. I want to manage the faces that I just added or other faces that are in my database already. So I can edit my database. You can see here myself and Scott that I just added. I'm going to edit myself just to show you how you can put information in here, how you can add multiple pictures to make it smarter. The more pictures you add, then the smarter the camera gets, right? I can also add things like country, email, you know, just more information to the person. So that's a pre one that I already did. Let's go and let's edit. Well, first of all, before I even go there, from here I can actually switch lists. I have him on the allow list. I want to put him on the block list. Very easy. You can see he's gone from my allow list. Go to my block list. There we go. We have a couple of people here in my block list. So now I want to edit information, right? I want to make my AI smarter. How do I do so? With just one picture, I want to be able, for my database or my recognition software, to view this person and recognize them in different angles, different lighting situations. So in order to do that, I need to make it smarter. I can import pictures. I can import up to 10 faces, it says. Great. So now I'm going to do all the captured image that my recorders has seen. I'm going to do a search. There we go. I see a bunch of faces, right? And I can go through these and I can find pictures of Scott that I want to add to my database to make it smarter. I'm going to add these 3. There they are. I'm going to hit OK. And now my database is that much smarter. If I come back in here and edit, I can see that I have multiple faces and multiple angles for my database to better detect a person.
Hey, Mike, do you have to use only the pictures that the camera captures, or can you use other type of pictures, like let's say from their Facebook or their Instagram or anything?
Great question. So as I showed you on the import, we have a couple options. Captured image, this is what the recorder sees and the camera sees, right? So I'm gonna just to show you again. It's everything the camera's seeing. I can select from these photos. Also, you can do a local image, meaning that if I had a USB with pictures from Facebook, pictures from an ID, just pictures you took from a camera on your phone, I can upload these images into the database just to make it smarter. So I can not only have the pictures that the camera's seen, but also from pictures I've taken from other locations.
So with that, when you create a database, and let's say you put on a block list, what would be the use of that?
Awesome.
What would be the point?
So on an allow list, so we can do things like face attendance, repeat visitors. You know, that's some of the things we can do with the allow list. But on a block list, in situations where maybe an employee got fired, or maybe someone's banned from a store, and we want to know when this person comes in or is recognized by our cameras, we want to be able to get a notification, say, hey, this person's on our block list, they should not be here. You can get the notification via your phone, via the software, via the recorder, and we can have, do whatever is necessary to get the person away from the location or whatever we need to be.
Also, what can we set up like a alarm, alert,
Definitely.
email?
Yep, email, phone. We can have the recorder do an audible alert. We can also set a trigger to open doors, close doors, whatever need be. We can multiple things we can do with this.
Oh, this can trigger access. This can be using access control
for sure. So our recorders are equipped with a input output, which is basically a relay, and also some of our cameras have it. And this can be connected to any system that has any kind of relay. It's powered. We can put on an alarm system, access control, bunch of different applications.
Now, with that being said, is there a limit to how many people we can add to the database?
Another good question. So basically now we can add up to 20,000 faces, no problem. And that's gonna, it's gonna go to your hard drive. We have terabytes of space, right? And these are just images, very small. We can have as many faces as you want on this database and continue to grow.
Now, Mike, you helped me set up the application for when we're using it for daycare to keep the kids, make sure that every kid's checking in on time. Nobody's like, kicking the kids out. They're not leaving without being the company noticing that they're leaving. Does lighting condition actually affect the accuracy of the camera?
That's a good question. So in any situation, right, it's what the camera sees. So of course, lighting conditions have a lot to do with it. You need to have some light, but fortunately, our cameras are equipped with things like wide dynamic range, backlight compensation, in order to compensate for these situations where light is bad. Yeah.
Oh, but then like our cameras do have those like low light sensors. They really do take the infrareds on them are really good.
Very good.
That should not really affect it, right?
Correct. And then if it does, we have an adjustment on the camera that can actually compensate for that.
Now, given that example for the daycare, it's just like a normal room, like I said, a classroom and everything. Where would you put the camera? And what kind of camera would you use?
So depending on, of course, the situation, best practices for detection is about 15 to 20 feet from the camera. So, if you have a wide angle, you want to use, of course, maybe a 2.8 lens. You don't need really a varifocal. But in a situation where you have to detect faces further out, a varifocal camera would be much better. Of course, you're going to get 15 feet from the actual image on the screen. 50, 20 feet is perfect.
For example, like let's say the entrance, like the front door, the main front door.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great. So yeah, like I said, we use this solution at a lot of daycares, senior living facilities, military facilities, prisons, you name it. It's so versatile that honestly, to take a deeper dive into this is going to take up the whole webinar. So this is probably going to be a part 2 series of it, where we'll go more into facial attendance, access control, how it can how it can be triggered, and maybe some voice prompts and different types of alarms that we can go into it. Throughout the applications for a lot of the projects I worked on, there were various applications that we can show in the next feature. So with that being said, thank you, Mike, for showing that part. Let's move on to one of my favorites, license plate recognition. Now, this feature has a lot of benefits. It can be used in all applications from anywhere from parking structures, malls, shopping centers. Uh, the whole point of a license plate reader is to identify a person, an unknown people in public places. For example, if you're doing a parking structure at a stadium event, like let's say you're going to watch the Lakers or something, you can identify people by the license plate because that car is registered to somebody. So if an incident happens in a parking lot, or the cameras, you're following somebody out of the stadium, they go into a certain car, you could use a license plate to actually identify them. Now, multiple uses. The great part of this is it's completely licensed and subscription free. But with that being said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to give questions in that question box there. We'll do our best to answer them as quickly as possible. So with that being said, Mike, can you get into it?
Sure. So if anybody's looking at my screen right now, you can see that this is one of the views that we have to detect license plates. And on my right-hand side, we can see some license plates that just recently came by. Very similar to the face detection on how you add and add license plates to your database and move them around from the allowed list to the block list. Let me jump right in. Actually, let's see this. Want a vehicle coming by, does have a license plate in the front? It does. We want to see it actually detect. There it is. I can see here right away we get the license plate into our notifications. Let me show you how to set this up. So I'm gonna again come into my recorder. Same area, AI setup. I'm gonna come over to my license plates, and I'm gonna go down to the one I have preset up. So again, let me go down and show how to set this up. At the top is my channels, right? I want to make sure it's enabled. Another function that we've recently added is LPD Enhance. What this does is allow us to adjust for day and nights, darkness and light throughout the day.
Mike, why would they need to do this?
So if you've dealt with license plate cameras, you'll notice that you get a lot of bounce back from IR reflection when it hits the plate because of the reflective material the plates are made of. This allows us to adjust for that type of situation, right? In the daytime, we really don't have to worry about it too much, but at night, when you have a really bright IR shining on that license plate, you're going to get a whiteout. So we can adjust this to make the picture darker, and then you can see in the image, these adjustments will be made. And that's LPD Enhance, right? I can turn that on, I can turn that off if need be. There's also a sensitivity. So this is going to help filter out license plates between an actual license plate and just maybe some letters that are going by on a car, right? I have for this application right now, I have it set to 100 because I want to capture every license plate that comes through. So other applications, you might need to lower it, but for now, I have it at 100. Again, dynamic marking means it's going to show you the little rectangle around the license plate showing it's being detected. And again, this other stuff, kind of want to leave it default. One thing is we do have 2 plates to detect. The European, obviously, we're in America, we're going to use the American license plate. And of course, we want to get the full screen. We can also set this to, you know, a more customizable area if we need. I can just get these and pull them down if I just want to get a specific area, right? And I can better home into a certain area. But for our application now, I'm just going to leave that on full screen. Of course, we do want to get cars that are in motion. For instance, if there was a car that is coming through maybe like a stop sign, then we can have it on static, right? So once that's all saved, then we are ready to rock and roll. I'm going to come back. Once I have that set up, I'm going to show how to get these into our database. Let me close this. We do have a question. 1 second.
I have an existing client with Bolide cameras. Can you tell me which models are available with these AI features, license plates, etc.?
So awesome question. So most of our cameras, like I said, 95% of our cameras now have this function. They will have to have the AI and the model number. So whatever the model number is with AI at the end. 95% of them will have this function. And the recorder will have to be an NDAA recorder. But give us a call. We can check into the firmware. And sometimes it's just a simple firmware that needs to be updated if they don't have the function. give us a call and we can definitely help you determine whether your customer's current situation has that ability.
Now, with that being said, excellent. Thank you, Mike. With that being said, each location, each area is going to be a little bit different, especially when you talk about night, everything, night view. So when you work, so the cool thing about Bolide is we're very supportive. So anytime that you are working on a specific location, we probably need to work with you on each of the cameras, just to make sure that if the setting is great for nighttime. We can help log in and work with your tech team to help save time and give you optimal advice.
Yeah, that's a good point, Randy, because we do have a lot of customers that use the license plate recognition function, and we'll get calls saying, well, I'm getting, daytime's great, at nighttime I'm having some issues. Every situation is different, is unique. Sometimes there's more lighting, sometimes there's less lighting. The most important thing about these, when you're installing these cameras, is location, right? You want to have the best straight on view of a license plate as possible, right? We want to get that dead on view. If you can see the car, that's going to turn, but we want to get that straight on license plate to make sure that we get the full license plate, right? So again, moving on, very simple to add to the list. Again, I'm going to be able to right click here, add, I can add them to my list, right? And I can go ahead and color of the car, brand of the car, things like that. I'm going to exit this. I'm going to add this car actually to my database. Saved. I'm going to come back here, and now just like the face recognition area, come under recognition, you can see face database and license plate management. So in here, I can edit. I have some plates in here already, right? You can see that, but I want to add some more plates. So again, if I want to import meaning, I can do it manually. I can manually add a plate that I already know what it is. I can import from a CSV file, right? I can also import from caches, what we're going to do now. I'm going to do a search. There's all the license plates that have came through today. I want to add one. I can simply just, it's hard to see maybe, but when I click one, you can see that the rectangle around the picture gets a little brighter. It's kind of hard to see. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I'm going to add this plate here. Okay, again, I can edit and add all the information that I need to add for this particular plate, right? I can also, as a new option, new feature that we have is voice prompt. We've talked about this in the past. I can add a verbal either through a file that I have on my computer, or I can get the recorder to actually give out a verbal, whatever I type in here, right? If you have the recorder that has a microphone, or sorry, a speaker built in. That's just a new feature I wanted to show really quick. But let me get out of here. I can also move these to any list I like, back and forth, my block list, my allow list. Very similar to the way we set up the face recognition. It's almost identical. Now we can get our database going.
So Mike, are you saying that like we could use the license plate reader as like also a triggering?
For sure, yeah. Just like face recognitions, we want to know when a car is banned from our area or banned from our parking lot. It comes in, we grab the license plate. Hey, what's going on? This car shouldn't be here. We're going to get a trigger or an alarm saying, we need to do whatever we need to do when an unwanted vehicle is in our location.
Can this one also be used to, like, let's say, also a trigger for, let's say, opening a garage door or
for sure? That's a very good point. Access control. You want to open a garage door. You come into a parking lot. We get a recognition of the plate. They should be in here. That's okay for them to come in. They can come in.
So this could be used for, like, let's say, parking structures that have traffic management that they charge, or for payment reasons and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's really highly integrated, right?
It's really highly integrated. Yep. Along with all of our stuff, we have, again, I mentioned the input outputs that we have in the back of the recorder and some of our cameras. These can be connected to many different applications, alarm systems, access control, open doors, verbal alarms, speakers, stuff like that.
So it's just as versatile as, let's say, facial recognition, and like we'll probably need to take a deeper dive, like even more dive into it at probably our, like, let's say, our part 2.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
All right, great. Thanks, Mike, for moving on to. Does anyone have any questions in regards to our license plate? If you don't, feel free to give us a call. For the camera that I would probably recommend. Now, Mike, can you go back to that, please?
Sure.
So the whole point and the target of this is you want to get great choke point here. For example, like let's say I want to target the area between that blue car right here, but I actually want to get that closer to that gray truck. What I would highly recommend to you is to get like a far zoom camera. We have a far zoom camera that go to 50 to 5 to 50 millimeters, right? So Mike, how far is that in real terms?
So actually, it's a good point. We actually have a YouTube video showing, actually see if you can see where that truck is on the image now, which that's about 250 to 300 feet out there. If you're using the 80-37 5 to 50 lens, we can zoom all the way in. We can capture license plates up to 300 feet away. So, and that's also, you can see that actually in work. We have a YouTube video showing that. How versatile these cameras are and how versatile the license plate detection really is.
But once again, like we also help like design projects. Give your reps a call. We'll be able to like recommend you like certain like let's say for different applications, we could go a shorter zoom, or I would highly recommend the 5 to 50, just for the fact where you want to cover all your bases. You want to make sure that you attack that choke point, and you have enough range to play with.
There's another question here, Randy. What is the top speed that the camera will detect license plates? Excellent question. So we recommend 15 miles an hour would be top, right? We do have applications. I think, Randy, you have a customer that has, it's actually looking at a highway. And obviously, those cars are going faster than 15 miles an hour. We do recommend 15, but again, we have applications that do cars going faster than that. Those are just our recommendations in order to optimize the camera recognizing plates. So yeah, hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but how? Okay, so when we have all this data now and everything, how can the data be extracted?
Awesome question. So either a couple ways. I can have all my license plates here, or, and we're going to show you a little later on as well in our emaps, how else we can get these license plates coming in. But I can also extract all my license plates. And if I have multiple locations, I can enter them into another location. I believe here on AI scene, I can do a search here. Oops. Let me just, there's my plates. And if you look up here, I have an export list. I can export all these plates and have them on a file, and I'm able to do whatever I want to do with those once I get them on a file, right?
So so with these pictures, do they actually show the video or anything?
It does. So I can click here, right? I want to show here. I want to do a playback, and there we go. It's going to show me, there's my license plate. Bam, right? So I can do instant playback on these videos. I can do it from here, or I can do it as I view it live, right? I want to do playback from here. Bam. So a couple ways to view those videos, and the license plates that it just recognized pretty fast. Something's going on, we're able to get it pretty quick.
Hey Mike, so when you're in these videos, are you able to like stop, pause it, and let's say take a snapshot of it?
For sure. You see these icons I have here at the bottom. That's actually gonna play that again. I can take a snapshot. I can take an actual video recording from here. I can also do some zooming if I need to. I can do some tags. I can do a bunch of different things for my playback using this VMS software.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Great. So let's move on to our next analytic that we're going to be talking about, and this one is crowd control. Now, this is like used to see how many people are in a specific area. It's great for the good wise. You're going to be able to like run your business, use it for see how many people are in a certain area at a certain time, use it to make alerts, show your staff like when you need it the most. But at the same time is when people are gathering, you really want to be able to see who's gathering at the same time. So if it's a lot of people gathering in one spot, let's be honest with ourselves, most of the time that's a bad thing. Something's going on. For example, if you're in a school and you're in the play yard, you see a bunch of kids gathering around, 9 times out of 10 is going to be a fight. So from that, we're able to actually see how everything, see and control and manage, so we can take action effectively.
Yeah, man. This is one I set up. I have this set up for 2 people just to make it, there we go. I got my red indicator saying, hey, something's going on. And you can see up here on the top left, I have it set for 2 people. There's 2 people inside, so it's going to give me my alerts. So how do we set this up? How do we, make this work? Let me come back in here and I'm going to go into my AI setup. And we are doing crowd control. Here we go. So again, starting from the top going down. There's my channel that I'm working with. I want to make sure it's enabled. I have sensitivity up for this webinar. Again, that's going to be, every situation is a little different. And we can set the sensitivity from 1 to 4, 4 being the most sensitive, 1 being the least. Again, dynamic markings, we know what that is already. Talked about that. Minimum pixels, maximum pixels, that's how much pixels it's going to take to get detected, right? And then down here is probably the most important part. I can have it up to 500 people. Again, for this webinar, I only set it for 2. So 500 people would be my alarm trigger. That's a max. I can have all the way down to 1. Detection area. Again, for this webinar, I have it personalized. We can also do the full screen. More than likely, we're going to set a detection area because we want to know if a specific area has a certain amount of people, right? So I'm going to just refresh that, go back, and then we can also, we also have a rule. It's only one rule. I want to make sure that the switch is on, right? Pretty simple to, very user-friendly to enable, very user-friendly to set up. You can see how easy it was for me. As soon as I set that up, I have my people in my detection area, and right away I'm getting detections, right? So we do have a question.
Oh, would you please send me this recording to me once we finish it today? I've got a couple guys that wanted to attend, but we were not able to.
Awesome question. So we actually will have this on YouTube, as all of our webinars. We have we can send it to you personally as well. But this will be on YouTube later on today for everybody to use.
Great. Actually, I do have a question here. So now we're looking at like only 2 people in there, right? But what about higher density?
Yeah. So like I said, so up to 500 people, and as low as 1, we can scale this up.
So if you want to get more people, you probably have to use multiple cameras, right, to get that size?
If you want to, if you want to do, maybe a camera on the other side, use another 500, or, of course, if there's a bigger area, the different cameras you can use. You want a wider view for, of course, a 2.8 lens, maybe for a wider view. If it's a smaller view, maybe you can use a varifocal camera to zoom in,
Honestly, I'd probably recommend to go varifocal just because you want to have that range and keep it safe. A lot of the stuff that a lot of the applications that you're gonna be using with this might be outdoors or indoors in the bigger stadiums, stuff like that. So I would highly recommend probably a varifocal. All right, thanks, Mike. Now let's move on to Q-link detection here. Now this is actually a really used application. So one, you can so the Q-link detection is actually to measure a certain amount when people are in a certain area for a certain amount of time. Now, the positive way of using this is going to be for customer satisfaction. So let's say you have a high-end restaurant, you don't want people waiting for too long, or a hotel, that you could set this parameter so you could get staff to move effectively to improve your overall customer experience. Now, another way that people don't know they can use this is anti-loitering. Now, I like to say that what you're showing right here is, like, let's say we're in a parking lot, no one should be around this area or around the cars for a certain amount of time. Then we could get alerts and notifications that, hey, this guy here, he looks very shady, is in looking at cars, so he's up to no good. Mike, can you go a little bit more into this, please?
For sure. This is a very, very underused AI function. You can see here, we got someone there, he's looking around the cars. So it's indicating to me, hey, you got someone here, and I can set a time. Let me show you how to set this up and show you how this works. So I'm going to come in here, again, back to my AI setup. And I'm going to go into my problem like detection, right? And I'm using channel 7 here. Okay, so here's how we set this up. Again, I'm going to go from top down. Channel we're working with, you want to make sure it's enabled. I have my sensitivity built up. We talked about that. Dynamic markings is what actually telling us it's recognizing the person. Again, this is all kind of repetitive, but I'm going to go over it anyways. Minimum pixel, maximum pixel density. That's how, it's going to determine the person. But the more important thing is a maximum number of people can do. I have it set to 1 right now. We can have this scaled all the way up to 100 people, right? For loitering, you get people standing in front of markets, standing in front of liquor stores, shouldn't be there. We want to know, hey, if anyone's been there for X amount of time, I have it set for 5 seconds right now, but you can set this all the way up to 3,600 seconds. So if someone's there for a minute or two, it shouldn't be there, right? You don't want people there loitering, asking for money or whatever they're doing in front. I can set a time and an amount of people, say, hey, this guy's been there standing in front of the location for 10 minutes. What's he doing? I get a notification. I can go out and say, hey, why you here, or whatever, the situation may be. And of course, there's a detection area. I have it set to just this little area because of the tree. I don't want, stuff like that coming and messing with my detection area. And of course, the rule, make sure that's enabled and on, and we're ready to rock and roll.
Mike, if I remember right, you helped me set this up at, like, let's say at that shopping complex that they were having this homeless problem where their homeless would actually come and make up camps in their parking lot. Is it the same one that we used?
Yes, for sure, and it's very useful. You get people coming in, maybe on the side of a location, where you don't really have a lot of people that can are actually visually looking at that location a lot. The camera does the work for you. You got people standing there. You're gonna get a notification saying, "Hey, someone's here, shouldn't be there." You can go out there, so it kind of does the work for you.
Great. So don't forget, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We'll do our best to get to you. If not, just give us a call at any time and we'll be more than happy to personally just answer this question and go through any of your applications that you might have. So with that being said, let's move on to perimeter intrusion. So what perimeter intrusion, I really like this setup is just because every company or every facility, like for example, from stadium to military bases, all the way to office buildings are gonna have a certain location where, one, they keep their valuable goods, two, it's restricted and secured areas. It's gonna be like a data center where you don't want anybody to mess with any of that equipment because it can make a company go under. So what it does is you can set a perimeter on the outside or the inside of a secured entrance or exit way. From that, you can be able to get a notification. Scott here is walking by, and as you can see, it was triggered. Now, Mike, can you go a little bit more into this, and then how can we set up alerts? What are the different options that we can also use for this? If we can set up multiple ones and stuff.
For sure. So let's jump right into it. We can see that it's working. Let's go and let's see how we set this up. So again, AI setup. I'm going to go into my perimeter intrusion, right? And then I'm going to go to the channel I have that set up on, which is channel 17. There we go. And you can see my box, right? Again, I'm going to go, might be a little repetitive, but again, I'm going to go from the top down just to make sure we cover everything. Top here is the channel I'm working with. I want to make sure it's enabled, have my sensitivity up for this webinar. Dynamic marking is going to show, the red and the little box around Scott as he walked through. And then, of course, with this analytic, we can do pedestrians, vehicles, or both, right? I have that off. I just want to know who's coming in and out of my area for now. And another cool feature is I can have multiple rules set up. So I have one here. I say I want to do a second one, right? I'm going to turn that on, and I want to build a second one here, right? Oops. A second rule here. I'm able to do so, right? I can have up to 4, so I can set them around the visual of my camera, different areas. I want to know if anybody comes in or out, right? So our rule says here, for this box that I set up, I want to see if anybody from A to B, meaning coming into the box, right? From B to A, coming out of the box, or both. I have it set up for both, right? So I want to know if anybody is in my perimeter or out of my perimeter. And that's very easy to set up, very user-friendly. It took me 10 seconds to set this all up.
Great. And then so from the what kind of alerts can we get from this? Email notifications? Can we do a siren? Can we do
again? So we can get all of our AI functions. All of our AIs have trigger mechanism, either again through your phone, email. Our recorders themselves have audibles that come out. You can hook them up to a siren. Again, you can do access control, things like that. Everything hooks up to all these different applications. So, it's really.
And this is included on, like, let's say, like, is this included with the same, like you said, 95% of our cameras actually have this application on it?
Yes, for sure.
So it's very, you could use a varifocal, you could use fixed lens. In this case, I would highly recommend anyone to use it with a camera that has audio on it. So at least you have that option later on. For example, we put the solution into, we're using the solution into a warehouse that does electronics, that sells on electronics online. They keep the CPUs and the graphics cards, like they're high value in a certain area. They put a perimeter detection. They want to be notified every time anyone goes in or out of it, and especially during off hours. So they put a siren on there, plus they get email notifications.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, Mike, I can't remember. Can we schedule this?
Yes, that's a very good point. So all of our analytics have a schedule here. So, for instance, a schoolyard, right? We want to know all the children are on the playground. They shouldn't be leaving the playground, but we don't want these triggers going off during non-playground hours, right? So we can set these perimeter intrusion, and I can set the time that I do not want or want these recognition things to come through, right? We do have another question. Give me a second. Can I pair face and AI with this? So that's a very good question. The question was, can I pair face and AI with this? So all of our AI, you can use one. So if you wanted to use facial recognition, you would need another camera to do perimeter intrusion. We can only do one per camera.
Well, actually, that's perfect, because a lot of times if you're using this for a specific purpose, you might actually want to zoom into that specific location to get more detailed analysis from it, and then you could use another camera to get a wider view. With that being said, you could also use multiple analytics with it, just because like one's going to be on this camera and the other one's going to be on that camera. Think of each camera as your finger. Each of them are going to have a specific purpose.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah. All right, great. So does anyone have any more questions in regards to this? Great. So like, let's move on to like the last one we'll be covering today. We didn't, like I said, we did not cover all the different functions on the recorder itself, because that would be a really long presentation where we're in the middle of Thursday right now. So in respect to your time, we're going to be doing a multi-part series, going a deeper dive. Now with this webinar, we're covering certain applications for it in regards to how we're going to use it later on. But this one here, what we're doing right now is going to be stationary object detection. It's a really, it's one where it's going to be used to make sure that it's going to prevent theft, especially if like we're using this for our parking lot. So if cars are not supposed to be leaving at a certain time, we get notified. Or at my house, we're using it. I have like a nice Mercedes in the very front. I don't want to, and my area has a history of like, car thefts. I put this around my car just to make sure that during the day or night, and I'm home, not home, and the car leaves, that I get notified so I can take immediate action. Mike, can you go a little bit more into this?
Yeah, for sure. So you can see that I have a box around some luggage that we have.
Yeah.
And then so what I'm going to do is we're going to actually remove this from our stationary object area that we have set up, right? And I'm going to have someone go pull this, or, take it from our location, like if they're trying to steal it or whatever, right? And here comes Scott. I'm going to have him take this out of my location. So you're going to notice that right away, it doesn't trigger right away. And there's a reason for this. That's about 10 seconds. I should have counted it down, but you'll see it'll recognize in about, there we go. So the reason being, we don't want to get false positives, right? We want to actually make sure that whatever is gone from there is gone. So it's about a 10-second delay of it noticing that the device is actually gone. And it's pretty easy to set up. I'm going to come in here again. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we're going to go into AI setup, and we're going to go into SOD, which is stationary object, right? And I have this set up on channel 22 already. There we go. Again, we'll go down the list. It's enabled. First is our channel we're working with. It's enabled. I have my sensitivity set to 4. We know what dynamic marking is already. We talked about that. So rule number, I can set, again, just like I did the perimeter intrusion, I can set up to 4 separate locations, right? So I want to add another one. Let's do another location here, right? And I can set those chairs, and then I want to do another one. You know, I can do different areas set up for the stationary object, right? I'm gonna refresh those. Right. Okay, went to rule number 1, and then you'll also see here there's a couple options, right? So lost meaning if whatever I have in my detection area gets removed. Legacy meaning if something comes into the area and is put into our specific area, or you can do both. I recommend only lost. The legacy, you can actually use perimeter intrusion for that. So lost is probably the most efficient way to use this particular AI function. Again, very easy to set up, very user-friendly, it's very straightforward. Yeah.
Right, yeah, like just think of the solution as guarding high value property. Anything like from your car all the way to high-end graphics cards to diamonds, artwork, and stuff like that. So now that we learned about all these different analytics, right? So what's the purpose of this? So the whole purpose of learning these is going to be, one, you're going to curtail and tailor everything towards your customer specific needs. It gives you that versatility to do so, as well as we want to try to get rid of false alerts as much as possible. So with all these being said, you could curtail it. You don't have to just rely purely on motion. You have to go check it and just leave blowing in the wind anymore. Each notification is going to have a specific purpose. But now that we learn that, but there's so many of them, but how can we monitor these effectively?
So let's get into EMAPs. This is a very underused function that we have with our VMS. What does it do, right? So you can see here, you can see I have a floor plan on the screen, and I have a bunch of cameras set out to different areas. Very easy to do. These ones with little purple flags on them are the cameras I already have, but if I want to just get a camera, this, for instance, this is a floor plan of the office, right? And I want to, cover the front door. I can just, and I do have a camera there. I can just drag this to my front door, right? And bam, right? I'm going to delete that one because I don't really need it. So once I got these set up, now what, right? So I've set up my EMAPs. I can do multiple maps for multiple floors if I need be. Once it's set up, now how do I make this work for me? I'm going to go into the EMAP monitoring, and I'm just going to delete these here so we can show you how this works. And I can set off any one of these. We can do, yeah, Randy, if you could walk through, and we're going to get some notifications. You'll see them pop up. Wait a minute. So for instance, if I'm not looking at my cameras live, right, I'm looking at the EMAP and I want to know what's going on, bam. I got right there, I can see on my screen, perimeter intrusion went off. And and also face recognition went off, right? I can see those two analytics going off on my map, and I also get a live view of what's happening, right? So very easy to determine what's going on in my images. I can eliminate some false positives that are going on. And just another way of viewing your cameras. I do have another question here. Can these features be set time sensitive? I only want to operate between the hours of 12 and 6 a.m. Yes, we can. There is a schedule for every single analytic that we offer. So again, let me just show you really quick how to get into those. My live screen. Let me just answer that question really quick. So again, into my AI setup, AI schedule, and any one of these analytics that I click, where we just did, perimeter intrusion. Again, I can just set, you said you only wanted it to go off from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So I can get rid of this here. That's going to be 1800 hours. So I will not get any notifications between this time. Only the green areas will give me notifications. Hope that answered your question. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this out. I'm gonna go back to my EMAPs, and I'm gonna see all the different triggers. I got another Q-link detections going off. So it's just a fast and easy way to determine what's going on if you're not viewing your cameras constantly, or if you do have someone viewing your cameras. That's a way to eliminate false positives or actually know what's going on in the image when you're looking at it. So very useful tool. I think it's very it's underrated and underused. What do you think, Randy? about this EMAPS? What's
Oh,
your
100%.
experience?
Oh, 100%. Anyone that's using it for monitoring, you got so many things like, around the building. It's just gonna make it more efficient, gonna be more cost effective, and you could utilize everything. You could utilize your staff properly, honestly. Great. Great. Like I said, we could do personal demonstrations if you curtailed it towards more of your specific project. Just give your rep a call, and we'll be more than happy to work with you on this. If you have any questions, please let us know. And I hope that this was very helpful for you. You're going to see our contact information right here. Feel free to reach out to us at any time via email or give us a call. We're very human-based here, so somebody like myself would be answering the phone. Also, we could get you over to Mike over here too. He can work with you and walk through all the different features with you individually.
Again, this will be on YouTube today. You can either get it from there, or we can actually send you the video if need be. Along with a lot of our other stuff is always on YouTube. Again, our contact information is there. Bolide North America on YouTube. Get all of our videos.
Yeah, and yeah, like I said, just give us a call if you need any help. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, everybody. We'll stay open for in case anybody's got any questions for a couple minutes. Other than that, we appreciate you guys attending. All right, guys, with that being said, thank everybody for joining us today. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.